Looking good, Virgos. We'll clarify some of these at the end, but let's go through what we have right now. So, the Princess of Cups or the Page of Cups. Um, Pages are often messengers or they're offers that we receive. For me, they're kind of a lesser energy of the aces. So, this can be the beginnings of something new. Um, and what cups are all about are emotions, right? So what is it that you're feeling? That's it's very going to be very important. Now I like it because while cups might be emotional, and emotions can be everything, right? From the good, the bad to the ugly, everything. But you're kind of grounded down by a lot of like pentacles energy, which is very grounding, and that's your element anyway, that's earth energy. So with this coming up here, it might be like on a very kind of literal level, you may receive an offer or be ready to make an offer to someone that it's concerning like how you feel or how they feel. Someone's kind of proclaiming or stating this is how I feel. And so you're trying to figure out how that plays out in the second half of April. But on the other hand, this might be yourself looking at how you feel about something. You may not even be ready to vocalize it at this point. It's just a beginning, right? What I always point out in this card is there is a cup here. And there's a little fish in the cup. And so that fish represents that, there is something to this emotion. Whatever you're feeling, it's legitimate. Don't push it down. It's time to explore it, nurture it, grow it. That fish needs to be taken care of, right? It can't just sit in that little cup all by itself. So there is that kind of energy coming up here as the underlying energy for the second half of April. Let's see where this goes. So at the heart of the reading is you. We have the Queen of Pentacles here. And I love the Queen of Pentacles. She's very reliable. She's very dependable. Now, every single card, no matter how good it is, no matter how bad it is, and that's just our perception of good or bad, they each have kind of a lighter energy and a darker energy, a more positive energy and a more negative energy. Now, the Queen of Pentacles, she can be very focused on her work and finances. So it might be that that's where you're being called to. I mean, is that, and I have a Virgo moon, so I'm as guilty of this as anyone. But, sometimes when we have an emotion that comes up, a feeling that crops up, maybe a feeling for someone, or we're having a change of heart about something, like a new budding emotion here. That's what this represents at its core level, the energy of this card. And it's a general reading, and I tend to concentrate on the core energies because they're going to play out differently for everyone. We can throw ourselves into work. We can throw ourselves into, well, I don't want to get lost in that emotional stuff. What is the practical here? What can we gain out of this? What can we do out of this? And that's not always a bad thing, but it's not always the best thing either. Sometimes the emotion needs to be explored. Now, for others of you, the emotion might be your reaction to plans that you've been making about your future, because we have the Three of Pentacles here. And I'm going to come back to her because she's at the heart of the reading. So that's you sat right bang in the middle. Now, yeah, some of you might be dealing with another earth sign, which is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. But it can also be that someone that you meet who's vibing with you at your same level. Excuse me. Sometimes we can have, I don't know, like say I'm coming up as the Queen of Swords. I might have a Capricorn coming up as the King of Swords for me in my reading. Even though it's an earth sign, they can come up because the signs don't own the cards. Remember that. So we have the Three of Pentacles here, and this is about maybe compromising, working with other people, planning for the future. This can be recognition that you've gotten at work. Now, if this is resonating with you at a work level, for those of you that, that's where the messages are kind of connecting with that area of your life. We've got here a situation where you might have been working towards something, you've been planning towards the future. You might even be working with a new team at work or new group of people. With the Queen of Pentacles coming up, though, I see this more as you kind of stepping out now. You getting the recognition and you being able to go forward in your own right. You're not kind of having to consult other people and say, like, what should I do? Do I have to do this? This might be even in your love life, right? Maybe in your love life, some of you might have been ignoring your romantic love life. That's what I mean when I say love life. But, your romance, you might have been ignoring that, focusing on, well, I need to get this done at work. I need to get this much money coming in. I need to do that. But this is going to kind of prevent you from doing that. I am seeing for most of you, this is going to be both. This is about all areas of your life. It's not just love or work. Why do I say that? Because we have temperance in the present. And that's the whole point of temperance. Temperance says moderation and balance in all things. In all things. So if there's been this focus, and this even though it's pentacles and I'm saying it's work, because, pentacles are always the tangible representation of security and stability in our lives. For some of us, that's our investments. Some of us, that's our home. That's our job. That can be our family, whatever is the physical representation of what stability and security means to us. That's what pentacles represent. But temperance is saying, well, hold on a second. Patience is required now because you need to get balance in all areas. Now, this card never says you need to make everything perfect. It's more about our attention. Some of you might be dealing with the Sagittarius when this card comes up. But have a look at what's sat above temperance. It's the Princess of Cups, the Page of Cups. So if you've been focused more on the practical, and sometimes when we do that, it's very grounding and it allows us to push forward, take real solid steps towards achieving something. We have to sometimes go back to the drawing board in terms of our emotions. We'll have our emotions caught up to this. Are we kind of pushing ourselves to work on something which, we're not really feeling, but we're doing it because it's the right thing to do? I might be working those 2 jobs. It's killing me. I'm exhausted. I'm knackered and I don't get to see my family at all. I'm not putting anything into my love life. But it's like, well, in the long term, this is going to work for me because I'll have X, Y, and Z amount of money. We can buy that house. We can do whatever. But temperance says you need to slow down here. Patience is required because there's something that's been neglected. Like moderation is needed in all areas of life. Now, I always say, oh my God, I'm not a patient person. And I'm not a patient person. But that's probably when temperance does need to come up. When we are being impatient. We're trying to push ahead in one area. And temperance is like, no, all areas need to be balanced. It's not about getting everything perfect. And I feel like I have to say that to you guys, Virgo, because you guys have a different idea of what perfect is. But think about temperance. Why would it be telling us to slow down? Because we're neglecting something. We've forgotten something. The example I always give is if you're asking for that dream car and you said, I want this dream car. And the universe might say to you, well, yeah, you can have it. You can have that Ferrari. You can have that Mercedes, whatever it is that you want. But do you know how to drive it? And you might be, you might think, yeah, I do. But this is saying, no, go back and check. Go and make sure everything is back. You've given everything equal attention. Now, usually I do find when temperance comes up in this sense, it is asking us to look at who's supporting us, who's, is the job right for us that we're putting so much effort into? Is that relationship, are we giving enough attention to our romantic life? And I usually find that's happening because things are about to take off, like something new is about to start, and it's about tying up loose ends because we're not going to have a chance to make sure, our house is in order before we start we move on. And that's kind of what seems to be coming up here. If you can do this, what happens if you can do temperance? And remember, the future energy does not just happen. And I've had to keep saying that in all the readings now because I think people forget that, and it's worth repeating every single time, so I will. This doesn't just happen. So for all of these that people that say, oh well, I hope that happens, or we'll wait and see if that happens, well, it's not going to happen. This energy comes about through this. It's linear, what am I trying to say? It's linear because this is the foundation, the past, right? This is why we're here. We're here because we're making certain plans for the future. We want to move ahead in career, in our work, in our romance, with our families. We want to move, so we want to be somewhere. And you've got the grounding and, the know-how and just you're willing to put in the elbow grease to do the work to get to where you want to be. This is about getting your house in order before you move on. And if you do that, where does that lead? Well, it leads to the world. And the world is a success card. We see here, it's like a huge victory wreath. This is about successfully achieving what you were meant to achieve in that cycle. Now, yes, this card can come out when we are feeling at our lowest. We feel dejected. We're like, well, I haven't achieved anything. I don't have the job I want. I don't have the relationship I want. I don't have any of that. That's not what the world card says. It says if you've gone through difficult times, especially, this is saying you've gone through what you needed to go through to get to the next level, to start a new cycle. And this is, like I said, getting your house in order. And this is saying you've done it. You've completed that cycle. It's time for something new. It's time to move ahead with something new. And we have the Queen of Pentacles coming up here. So for a lot of you, because this is your energy, that completion of that cycle is the changes that have been going on within you. There's a returning to yourself almost. That's what I'm getting here. And yes, you're returning to yourself, but it's a new you. You've left behind an old you. And that old you, I think, especially, and you have to read the cards, how they come up. in the spread. And I'm getting with the Three of Pentacles coming up here. This may have been you defining yourself by the job that you had, the work, the group that you worked with, your social group, the family, plans that you make as a collective within your family even. But the two main energies here, like these two, at the heart and the underlying, that's you and that's how you feel. What you're willing to go for, what you're willing to express. What do you have emotionally to offer someone else? And what do you want offered to you emotionally? Those are coming up as, key points here. So what's the advice? How do we get to this completion? Because we have, yes, this energy, but what further advice can we give? Well, we have the Ace of Pentacles here. The Ace of Pentacles, beautiful card. I love this card. To me, it's almost like a minor arcana version of the sun. Aces are always opportunities that get presented to us, but we must take them. So the Ace of Pentacles can indicate a job move. It can indicate taking a loan or something, like, start that new business. It's something new that we begin, and we're beginning it in a very solid, very kind of committed way, very sometimes slowly, but you guys won't mind that. It's earth energy. Pentacles are earth energy, but it's some new beginning in something that offers us stability and security now, not practicals to get the stability and security. Although you're bringing that, though, you're bringing those tools because that's who you are. You're bringing those energies to it to help build this. But it's what's emotionally fulfilling for you. What's emotionally fulfilling. So, you might have always wanted to be, I don't know, a florist, and you're giving up that corporate job to go do that because that's where your emotions are. Now, in relationships, so this can be a new beginning within an existing relationship, or it can be a new beginning like with a new partner. It can indicate that if this is a romantic reading that I was doing. And this is, I think, the best card to begin a relationship with. I always say that. Why? Because it's going to begin slowly. And because it begins slowly, because we put each brick in the foundation so carefully, it has the potential to stand the test of time. But it's how we begin it. That's the advice here. How are you beginning this? Are you beginning this slowly? And you can do this because of this. Whatever this experience was here, whatever the plans were. I mean, it could be a complete change of those plans. But this still got you to here. It still gave you the idea of what you wanted, what you want to do. With these two here, there's a massive new beginning coming in, and you might just be at the tail end of wrapping some things up. Makes sense. We've got Taurus season coming up within this period. So that might be the earth, when you're in a sister earth energy, that is the energy that you need to kind of get you through to your next cycle. But let's pull you a couple of clarifiers. More Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles. And this is it. The Ace of Pentacles, it leads to this, which is your legacy. Sorry, I didn't even hold it up. Some people complain they don't see the cards. But I'm more kind of like involved in telling the story than sometimes remembering to show the cards. So the Ten of Pentacles is a legacy card, but it's a 10 as well. So that is another completion of a cycle. It's talking about a cycle's completed. Your idea of what brings you security or stability, that's shifting big time. And if it hasn't already, it will do by the end of April. That's what's kind of coming up here. And that's going to be different for everyone. For some of you, it might be there you go. 10 of Cups flying out. Oh, your 2 cards you got here. All right. So it might be relationship wise, what you wanted for your family or for your relationship, that's changed. But it's like I said right at the beginning, I don't get that this is just work or just a relationship. There's a knock-on effect, and they do. All areas of our life, they affect each other, which is why I don't just focus on a love reading or just a work reading or, any of that kind of stuff, because it affects everything. 10 of Cups, happily ever after. What is your happily ever after? There's an emotional cycle wrapping up too. That's why I'm getting there's a new budding emotion coming in, something that you want or that you feel, something new. And this Virgo energy, working towards it steadily, slowly. Now, the downside of the Prince of Pentacles or the Knight of Pentacles is that, he can get lost in wanting a perfect plan. I need a perfect plan for this. But as long as you put one step in front of the other, even if it's just baby steps that you take, you will work towards it. You will move towards what it is that you're trying to achieve. I like this reading. I really do, especially with the world here. That's major life cycle completing, major. We're not just talking, oh, I've just finished that project. Unless that project was huge in life or that relationship. There's a huge major shift coming in, and the implication is always that something new's coming out of it. But it just feels like you're at the tail end of that. And I guess we'll see what happens in May, but May be the month where you kind of move ahead and start this new cycle. But it's like all the pieces seem to be falling into place here to know where you're going and why you're doing it. And you may be starting off slowly, but you will get into this energy of the Queen of Pentacles. It is safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. And that's kind of what I was saying. That sometimes we can have this emotion and have a look. Apart from the Ten of Cups, which came up as a clarifier, as what your happy ever after is, doing what's, best for the family. This can be reunions. This can be groups of people. Everything's kind of, I say this, but when is it ever that everything's wrapped up neatly with a bow? But there is that kind of feeling here. It's wrapped up in a way, good, bad, ugly, no matter how something ends, no matter what happened to that cycle, you're ready to go forward and to begin a new cycle. And that doesn't have to be on a practical level. Like some people see it as, oh my God, is my relationship ending? Am I losing my job? It's not that. Your energy shifts. What you want shifts. How you feel about something shifts. And that is that's the only change that counts. That's the only change that's going to affect other change. So it's safe for you to love. Maybe you've got this kind of budding emotion here about something, be it work, be it romance, whatever. And yeah, coming into your own energy would make you feel safe to love. Oh, that one. Love endures. Love does not give up or lose faith. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. So that might be your ability to love, and it doesn't have to just be romance, right? We can love our jobs. We can love our friends. We can love our families. And sometimes we kind of, when you lose all hope, and both of them have a similar message. This one's like you might have felt if you've been hurt in the past and you've been slowly putting the pieces together to kind of rebuild yourself to come back. We don't want to love. We don't want to be vulnerable and expose ourselves. But look at all of this. You're ready to go. Right, let's go from the wisdom of the oracle. Well, all right, 3 for now. We'll take all 3 because I saw them. If I see them and they're face up, then I have to. Okay, so regeneration, it's like the Judgment card. And it's very similar to this. Something that we thought that had died, that had gone, that had left, it comes back to life again. We thought we'd missed out on a chance. Could be a relationship, could be work, a project, a business project. Something that we thought we'd missed out on. It was dead, it was gone, and we see it sprout up again. But it's like the Judgment card in that it calls for us to let go and to understand the cycles of rebirth, death, rebirth. Like nothing is final. There's always something new that comes out of it. And the world and these 2 tens here kind of speak of the same kind of energy. Where does that lead? Well, it leads to the land of milk and honey, which is abundance. And abundance is whatever you feel abundance to be. More love in your life, more spirituality, emotional fulfillment, financial fulfillment. That's what this indicates. But how do you get there? By being yourself. I always say, look at him, that little baby elephant splashing around in the bowl of cereal. So that it talks about being yourself. You can achieve great abundance by you are enough. You're coming up there at the heart. You are enough. Whoever you truly are, it's enough to be that. Without the labels, that's too often. And I've been getting this message a lot for earth signs. You are more than your job. You are more than, a mother or a father or a brother or a sister or a parent or whatever. You're more than that. You are someone at your core, and it's okay for you to be that. And that's what leads you to abundance. Then we have happy. And this is the grass truly greener on the other side? Well, no. It talks about the grass is greenest where you stand. The key is where she stands, right? So it's about being happy in the moment and knowing that we're happy right now. If this guy is happy, every single pentacle he makes, he doesn't care about the next one he's making, doesn't care about the one he made before. He's focused intently on the one that he's making right there. That's the one that counts. Right now is the moment that counts. Right now is their balance here, because everything else, it happens from what you do right now, from putting one foot in front of the other, even going slowly, but doing that. And it says, dearest you, all your prayers are heard and mirrored back to you from the unseen realms. Be grateful, praise things before they manifest, and always ask for the highest good. When you plead and beg, that will bring you only more reasons to plead and beg. Instead, offer your prayers as sacred gifts, as a testament to your faith in a higher power. Open up and let spirit move through you and comfort you. Add meditation as a way to become empty, so you will be ready to be filled with inspired epiphanies, peace, understanding, and joy. In this moment, your prayers are being answered for the highest good of both you and all life. Sometimes what you pray for is not supposed to happen for you, and your prayers will be answered in surprising ways. At this moment, we are listening intently to your prayers and want you to know that your highest good is our priority. All is well. That kind of ties in beautifully with the happy card. But also about this, especially temperance, balance in the moment. What's going to balance things out right now? And this can be like, focusing too hard on just one area, one thing. And it sounds counterintuitive because we think, well, if I want progress in that area, doesn't it need attention and focus? Apparently not. It's saying balance in all things right now.